Hello and welcome back to another Rush Duel video. Today we're going to be talking about some spoilers, both about the game mechanically and about the anime and the latest episode. So if you haven't watched the latest episode and you still want to keep that a surprise, or you don't want to find out what this new mechanic is, I would recommend go off, watch the episode and then come back, and then we will just talk about this brand new mechanic. But with the spoiler warning out of the way, let's talk about this brand new summoning mechanic. So we're going to head over to an article on yugioh and a new mechanic arrives to Rush Duel, or is it the oldest? So the new mechanic is Ritual Summoning, and Ritual Summon, as we may know, is one of the oldest mechanics in Yu-Gi-Oh! In the original TCG, it was released in one of the very first sets and has had multiple archetypes basically dedicated to this summoning mechanic. It does have quite a bit of support, but rituals have always been in this weird spot where either they feel like they're too good or they're very underpowered, but now we have them coming to Rush Duel. And much like fusions, when they came to Rush Duel, we were expecting some slight changes, the way that they act, the way that we use them, and in the same way that with fusions we were given the fusion spell card and polymerization was made a legend, basically we had to get our fusion material onto the field and then we could fuse them together and summon out our fusion monsters from the extra deck. So let's talk about the ritual mechanic and how it acts in TCG. Basically, this mechanic is made up of two cards, a ritual monster and a ritual spell card. The ritual monster and ritual spell both typically have to be in the hand in order to perform a ritual summon. When the ritual spell is activated, the player can then tribute monsters from their hand and or field whose levels are equal to or more than the level of the ritual monster attempting to be ritual summoned. Now, some spell cards will have specific requirements. Some of them, for example, say that you have to use the exact amount of levels and you can't go over, but for the most part this is the gist of how a ritual summon works. We activate the spell, we send the monsters from hand or field to the graveyard, we special summon the ritual monster from our hand, and we have performed a ritual summon. So first things first, let's talk about the episode in question. So episode 135 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush features a duel between the main character Yugioh and the previous arc's primary antagonist turned ally Kawaii. During this duel, Kawaii activates a spell card and declares that he is performing a ritual summon. At which point a monster shrouded in darkness appears, attacks Yugioh and ends the duel. So assuming there are no shenanigans going on, it would appear that we have just had a new summoning mechanic introduced, although we don't know exactly how they will work in the context of rush duels. So let's break down the duel and see what we can infer from the turn in question and try and make an educated guess as to how ritual summons work in Rush. So it's Kawaii turn and the final turn of the duel. Kawaii's hand consists of Prime Stock, Prime Chameleon, Transam Linak, Prime Cool, and an unknown ritual spell card. He normal summons Stock, Chameleon, and Linak, which have a total of 11 levels. He then activates his ritual spell card, at which point his monsters shatter and disappear as he declares Ritual Shokan. A crescent moon appears, and a monster shrouded in darkness, wielding a scythe, attacks Yugioh, ending the duel. Now, since we know the last card in Kawaii's hand is Prime Cool, we know the ritual monster was not summoned from the hand, making the most likely place it was summoned from, the extra deck. We also know that 11 levels were used for the ritual summon, which would imply that this ritual monster is between 9 and 11, since all 3 monsters were used and the maximum amount of stars from 2 of Kawaii's monsters would be 8, which is most likely the case. Kawaiii also summons all 3 of his ritual spell tributes, implying that similarly to the Rush exclusive fusion spell card, the monsters need to be face up on the field and cannot be tributed from the hand. There is also a chance that a ritual summon could require specific requirements, such as a specific number of face-up monsters, specific types or attributes, or any other restrictions you could think of. We don't have any confirmations yet, and most likely won't until next week's episode, which is something the writers have done before with the introduction of Maximum monsters and of Drago the Sky Emperor. Ritual summoning is something that I've been asking for a long time now, pretty much since fusions were introduced into Rush. And I also wanted ritual monsters to be kept in the extra deck as to avoid the early ritual deck problem TCG had of having to play generic ritual support in every deck, which would be things like 3x Manju, 3x Senju, 3x Sonic Bird, etc, etc. I would not expect ritual summoning to come to Duel Links anytime soon, since Duel Links tends to release cards primarily in the order they appear in the anime, especially when it comes to new mechanics. so we'll have equip spells and contact fusion to look forward to before we should be seeing rituals. Needless to say, I am very excited for ritual summoning and can't wait to play with the mechanic myself. I'll make a follow-up video going more in depth with the mechanic when we get more information. But thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. I would love for the next mechanic to again be something Rush exclusive and not just adding the normal Yu-Gi-Oh. No, I want ritual summons. I want redesigned rituals. I've wanted this for so long. So the issue is, if we talk about actual Rush unique things like mechanics, I would make an argument that it's maximum. I think no one's going to question that. Maximum is a unique Rush mechanic. The other thing is multi-choice effects and fusions, which is actually something they've been leaning away from. I actually thought multi-choice effects was a cool gimmick for Rush fusion monsters, and they've kind of stopped doing them, which I think is a bit disappointing because I like multi-choice effects. I think it's cool. Yeah, I want rituals that summon from the extra deck. That's what I want. We don't need Manju of the Thousand Hands and Sonic Bird and all that shit. Just give me ritual spells in the main deck, ritual monsters in the extra deck. That's it. That's all we need. For me, that's perfect.